So we have decided to give TraderScale a go, not just recently actually, we've been working with them a little while, or trading with them a little while should I say, but we finally got to the point of payout. Now obviously reviews are good, but reviews are only really important if they're based on payouts. Ultimately, you know, customer support needs to be good in this day and age. It needs to be good, fast, efficient, which TraderScale is. But you can't really give a review just on communication. Ultimately, the reason we're trading with these firms is based on payouts. So for me, the most transparent way of understanding whether a firm is good is by seeing those payouts, right? And we're going to get stuck into that, but there's something really innovative and bespoke that TraderScale actually do and offer to give us that kind of reassurance. So this review is basically, a bit of a recommendation on, look, you should consider putting your hard-earned cash in the realms of TraderScale to pass these challenges and, you know, try and get a return on your investment. So, you know, whilst all these firms will have rules, recommendations and, you know, guidelines to trade between and ensure that you're following protocol to ensure you get paid, you have to understand that they're for the protection of these companies. We are investing, let's say, $400 or $500 in a $100,000 challenge, and ultimately that buying power is worth $10,000 or $8,000, depending on what drawdown kind of balance you have, right? So the potential is great, but there has to be a fair balance of risk on both parties, you know, end, right? And that's what people get confused with. So, you know, understand the company, understand the rules, understand what you're getting into, and, you know, you can reap great reward from these companies. So again, TraderScale, this is going to be a review on them. There's going to be some quite juicy things that you probably haven't seen before, again, which is why I decided to give them a go. One-step challenge passed, and then we're currently on a two-step, I believe. So, you know, we've got the upgrade, and we're actively looking to trade these, grow these, compound these. We've worked with loads of companies in the past, and we normally get to, you know, 1 or 2 payouts, and then maybe think, you know, another company's maybe reached out, and we think, you know, let's give it a go. Only looking to share experiences if we get paid. Ultimately, we're not going to share experiences if we, you know, don't get any sniff of any payment or there's issues. I've actually had an issue with this company, and it's been resolved very, very quickly, and that was actually my fault on my behalf, with, you know, typing in my name and bits and pieces, and you'll see that in a short second, but it was resolved within maybe 2 hours, and that was just going back and forth with the communication, and half of that was me waiting as well, providing the information. So, you know, a lot of that was my end. But again, you know, we've been paid, we've had a good experience, we're here to share that experience, and we're going to demonstrate, you know, exactly, why you should probably give these a go. And, you know, once you're kind of in the mixer with this company, you'll enjoy the conditions, you'll enjoy also the platforms, you know, MT4 and C-Trader. So C-Trader is a massive one. You know, there's, you know, less chance of manipulation for those that understand the back end of brokers. You know, C-Trader is a better product, it's a better platform that can't be kind of manipulated as much. Again, rules, you need to read these, the FAQs, you need to digest these and understand these before you get stuck into it. But we're going to get stuck into a few bits, give you a bit of an insight of, you know, what we've been doing, how we've been trading, and why we are recommending these. So enjoy the rest of the video. Leave a comment below or drop us a DM or an email if you want to find out some more information. You know, the routes we took, why we took them, and we'll probably touch base on that in a short second anyway. So let's run through quite a lot to talk about, and again, one of the reasons we decided to work with this company. Obviously this dates back, I said on the first part of this video, we obviously didn't jump in straight away with the reviews. We obviously want to test things out. There's no point in us giving reviews if we haven't kind of had skin in the game, been through the kind of process. We also don't review companies that we haven't been paid from. And again, I want to reiterate that, you know, we obviously want to see payouts, we want to see transparency, we want to see consistency and stuff, right? So, you know, and another thing as well, and this is a bit of a lesson almost, so take some value from this, we always start with these firms on a one-step challenge if they offer them, okay? And the reason we do that is because, one, they're easy to pass, okay? We're not going to make a fortune off them. The rules typically are a bit harder to make more money as compared to the two-step, but, you know, if you can pass quite quickly, you know, maybe first time, second time, it means you've invested less up front and you're more likely to get a payout. Whether it's large, whether it's small, you're able to get something back, okay? And then you reinvest, you play with profits. Now, that's what we've done with the one-step assessment, 200K, obviously, 100K, 200K, we don't normally go any lower than that. It's not really worth our time. We've got 200K here, 200K upgrade, and, you know, we're flying so far. We've had a payout, and also what I do want to mention is there was an issue with, you know, how I kind of filled in my details, and there was worry that I was going to get denied my payout. I've had this issue before with my KFC, that is awful. My KYC, not Kentucky Fried Chicken, my Know Your Client was wrong, and I was denied a payout. And for weeks and weeks, I was getting fobbed off. Literally picked up the phone and had been kind of rectified by Lewis within maybe 2 hours. And part of that 2 hours was me waiting to kind of, return information and get that uploaded. So, sorted out, absolutely fine. Really, really happy with that. Great customer service. Customer service is one thing. You obviously want good customer service, but customer service and not being paid out is, irrelevant. That means the customer service is basically it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. So having a combination of good customer service and support, as well as, payouts, obviously, is the most important thing, essentially. So we're going to run through some things. Obviously, these are the accounts since the start of, or middle of, first week of Feb, and then obviously we're trying to scale up now. So we're trying to move forward. Here's obviously the challenge and certificates. So you can see our name is where we made the mistake. So I did get that kind of rectified. I think going forward, obviously my certificates are going to demonstrate Idris Tabrizi instead of Idris Tarabizi. Again, typo my end, and that's where we had the issue when it came to the payout. So that's all good. Trading resource. It's really important, obviously, with these companies that you're aware of things, right? And having everything at kind of your fingertips is really, really important. You've got all of the data right at your fingertips. You can join TraderScale's Discord or Telegram, and you can see these updates every day. So when the high impact data is coming out, and this is one of the key things other firms don't allow you to do or don't make so obvious. This is right in front of you, and news trading is a big thing in the prop space. So obviously be aware of that. It's kind of given to you. So, it's your own negligence if you don't follow the rules. And we always encourage people when you're checking out new firms, obviously we're making this recommendation for TraderScale. It's not just us, there's loads of others that will kind of advocate for this. And you can see the Trustpilot reviews. We'll go through that in a short second. But the information's in front of you. They're giving it to you. They're not hiding anything. And there are rules and there are kind of, hurdles you need to jump over and hoops you need to jump through. But having the transparency and having things in front of you and giving you the opportunity to trade within the conditions and rules is, the most important thing. So, and that's happening here. The leaderboard's really, really cool. So again, I mentioned, you don't want to just try and jump to the top of this leaderboard. You want to grow consistently and, scale methodically and systematically, right? And it's really cool to see how people are performing. So again, here you've got equity, you've got total profit. It shows you the account as well as the actual gain. So it's all based on gain. So 100K, 50K, 25K, they're smaller accounts and the profit isn't as large, but the percentage is what is most important. And this always applies, and I like the leaderboards for demonstrating this. It's not just you have to get 200K and make loads of equity. No, it's not about that. People from lower GDP areas and demographics won't have the opportunity to buy a 200K accounts. So seeing a 25% return on a 5K account or a 10K account is equally as honourable. It's equally as kind of exciting and stuff, right? So we've got everything there. They've got videos, billing, obviously refer a friend, verifications and contracts and stuff. Yeah, that's all good. But what I also wanted to get into was the Trustpilot reviews. So here we are on Trustpilot. You can obviously see 4.5, really good rating. And again, you can run through here and see all the kind of reviews and bits and pieces. You're gonna have bad reviews. Every prop firm has bad reviews. Every broker has bad reviews, and it's because one, people don't read rules, but two, it's because they've had a bad experience, and that's normally due to their own negligence. So if you do follow the rules, if you do study what they offer you, then you're gonna have a good experience. So and that goes with any firm. The prop industry as a whole is exhausted with people that don't know what they're doing. They haven't read the rules, and unfortunately. Not just prop firms, but brokers as well. They'll throw up a stink if they've lost money because it's a hard thing to stomach. And the first thing you want to do when you've kind of lost money is, blame it on someone else. And unfortunately, inevitable bad reviews come of this, But again, it's outweighed by all the good ones and the good experiences. And I'm sure if you obviously give these a go and invest your money, you're going to get a good experience as well. You're also going to see things like the blockchain where they will release updated reviews of payouts. So you can see in live time, and let me just get that up for you now. Here we are, is the payouts. So, you've got Rise and USDT. So again, really, really good. You can see all the active transactions. Massive payout here. $49,000, $50,000 13 hours ago. So you can see, lots of payouts, lots of payouts of good value as well. So that's really good to see. You can also go back and see the Rise payouts. So what we've also got is Rise payouts, and you can see again the transactions and bits and pieces through Rise, and yeah, really, really interesting stuff. Something that other companies haven't done, which I think is really, really good. Ultimately, another way to judge a company is how invested are they in other avenues. And what we have with TraderScale is brand partnerships. So brand partnerships like sponsorships, are they sponsoring anyone? You look at brokerages, they're sponsoring football teams, prop firms, they're trying to get there. Obviously it requires more money. But if they are making these types of brand deals, it's because they have money. And if they have money to pay you, okay? Think about it logically. Small white label prop firms and stuff, they're popping up left, right, and centre. Do they have any cash to deploy? Possibly not. But for example, we have, TraderScale funding or sponsoring Sunderland FC. So, a UK football team, really, really big, really important. And, brokers are sponsoring F1 drivers and F1 teams and all sorts of stuff. So, that's a sign that they've got money to deploy and pay the people that invest in them, us as traders, okay? So, again, really, really good. Now, final part of this review, obviously, we want to understand, what's the pricing like, okay? What is the pricing like? Now, you might think, this is a bit more expensive than other companies, and, there's nothing wrong with that. You're paying ultimately for a service, and this service is, it needs to be feasible, right? It needs to be understandable, it needs to be passable, but at the same time the company needs to charge a decent figure. So yeah, there's companies that offer cheaper challenges, there's companies that are more expensive, but what I have found with TraderScale is they're kind of a hybrid in between, but there's add-ons. So for example, place a stop loss, it goes without saying, them as a company want to see that people are trading systematically and methodically. They're not kamikaze trading, they're trading with substance. And ultimately, these prop firms, for those that don't understand, you're being B-booked, okay? You're not being A-booked, you're not being sent to live markets, and they manage their funds based on different data and analytics, okay? They might reverse copy certain traders, and then ultimately what they do want and what they are looking for, and especially in the future space, is to move people onto live funds. So that means, if you are making 50, 100K or 400K capital, they're actually deploying these and copying these trades somewhat with a hedge to ensure that they're, again, making money to pay you when it comes to it. A 90% profit split, of course, you're gonna be charged for that. And then also you've got things like holding over the weekend if you're swing trading, and no stop loss. So maybe if you're scalping or trading high economic events and bits and pieces, or stock market open, should I say, there's gonna be lots of volatility. So having that could be something that suits you. C-Trader, MT4, again, that won't impact the price. We like, C-Trader, but again, we use MT4. So again, you've got all the add-ons here. And payment terms, you can pay with loads of different payment terms. You've got credit cards, you've got obviously crypto and bits and pieces that you can pay with. And again, loads of, basic stuff here. One step is what I went for. Is more expensive. Yeah, it's more expensive, but you've got one step to pass, and then you get your live credentials, and you can literally try and recoup your cash, and then on the next payout, try and get some more cash, and then effectively you're playing with profits. So, hopefully this review has kind of given you a bit of substance, a bit of information, a bit of an insight of how this company, TraderScale, operate, and, how you can get involved in the opportunities they offer. Again, you can always start with this lower value challenge. Again, look, it looks expensive, but again, remember, you're buying a premium product. You are buying a product that pay, you're buying a product that offer fair and payable services. And sometimes you do have to pay for that. There's no point in saving $100 and then getting to that payout stage and then not getting paid, because ultimately you've made nothing. Okay, and of course that profit share, again, you're paying more, but if you can trade, that 10% goes a long way. Okay, here for example, you're saving an extra 20% on 356, $70, $71. If you make your first payout of $2,000, for example, and you're getting an extra 10%, it's covered fivefold, okay? It's worth its weight in gold. So do obviously take note of these add-ons. you know, a couple of companies offer them, but, you know, a lot don't, and they can be very, very valuable, especially if you're taking the one-step challenge. So do just bear that in mind. I'm going to wrap it up there now. And again, if you've got any queries, questions, drop us a message, you know, comment below. And that was kind of my review of TraderScale. So enjoy the video, and we'll see you on the next one.